Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to Lazio Lounge. We are here to review Lazio performance against Genoa. A nice win, a comfortable win, an expected win. And I'm here at the moment with Alistair McKenzie. We cannot guarantee he will make it to the end of the show. Hello, Alistair. How are you?
Not great. COVID HQ here. Been a pretty rough few days, to be honest. But at least I've had your classic Vittorio sympathy to carry me through. For the sake of the listeners, the message I got this morning was, if you die live on the show, we'll get great traffic. So this is what I'm dealing with here. But yeah, you've got me, as I was just saying before I came on, a relatively good time, as in I think I can probably string a sentence together today. I mean, we'll see. I don't know how much sense I'm going to make, so give me the benefit of the doubt for once, please.
Well, unfortunately, you look fine. You look better. So, who looked better yesterday was Ciro Immobile, Alistair. People were already complaining he's over, he doesn't score if it's not a penalty, and so on. 3 goals against Genoa, not a bad way to confirm that he's still the best striker in Italy, right?
Well, they were all penalties, though.
The funny thing is, in the last 9 matches, Genoa allowed 4 goals, and yesterday against Lazio, they allowed other 4. So, yeah, astonishing performance.
Yeah, and immediately it therefore becomes, oh, it's only Genoa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've kind of, it's cheered me up a bit because the only thing it seems that annoys general Italy fans more than Ciro Immobile playing for Italy is Ciro Immobile playing well for Lazio. So there's probably been more Immobile hate on social media in the last 24 hours than there was after the Macedonia game, which is delightful. I think we can just eat that up. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what he needed. You know, we said after the Sassuolo match that he looked almost like he wanted it too much. It was still probably a bit too raw at that point. He was still very distracted and emotional and whatever. Whereas he seemed to transform that emotion into that kind of hunger and motivation this time, and also real composure. I mean, his goals were, I mean, I was obviously joking about the penalties. His goals were brilliant, like real classic Ciro Immobile goals, whether opportunistic ones or just classic brilliant vision and finishing. And yet more to his tally, to his record tally. Just an incredible player.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning, he scored in different ways yesterday. So that's important because it proves how much he has improved during the years. Because everybody was saying, yeah, he likes to go deep and be in front of the goalkeeper. But yesterday he scored outside the box, header, different ways. And the other thing that people forgets is that he also helped the team. He was defending, he was coming back and recover the balls, making assists. So, it's not only the goal scorer Ciro Immobile, it's the team player Ciro Immobile.
Yeah, and people are really running out of things to criticize him for, apart from his performances with Italy, obviously. But when it comes to questioning how good a striker he is, he scores all different types of goals. He's, I believe, still the top scorer in Serie A this year with open play goals, regardless of penalties. And he's done all of this while transitioning from the 3-5-2 to the 4-3-3 in a completely different style of play. And that's something I think that, sorry, there's a kind of orchestra of honking cars outside my window right now.
You didn't park the car well, right? And
it's been there for 5 days in the middle of the road. But this is the soundtrack to Rome, I'm afraid. I'm just going to close the window.
Yeah. One thing about Ciro Immobile that, everybody started saying, it's Genoa. It's easy peasy to score against Genoa. Alistair, can you remind me of how many goals Abraham scored yesterday against the bottom of the Salernitana?
Must have been at least 3.
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny because when it's Ciro Immobile, everybody scores. When it are the other players, well, but he played well, etc., etc. So this is the thing that drives me a little bit crazy, and it's hard. I mean, Ciro Immobile's numbers are simply astonishing, and I don't understand how people are still able to criticize him, even against after another great performance like yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the fact that he's adapted so well to Sarri ball, to spearheading the front three, um, that really makes a mockery of the idea that he was just tailor made for Inzaghi's football, because that is an argument you've seen a lot as well. The idea that when you play direct, when you just get balls forward, he'll score goals. Give him space, give him like defenses to run in behind, and then he scores goals. It's just not true. That's obviously he can do that, but his game is so much more rounded than that, and he's proven it because this season he spent the entire season playing in tight spaces. Lazio don't do that anymore. They don't
Yeah.
suck up pressure to their own defense and then launch balls forward to for Milinkovic to knock on or whatever. That's not the style of play they've been using this season most of the time. So he can play in that system. It's just this is the self-destructive thing about the Itsuri question that frustrates me the most is the thing that's so obvious more than anything. We can talk all we want about Mancini's tactics and the players he plays alongside him and the lack of creativity in midfield in that Italy team or whatever. He's a confidence player. He needs people to trust him and to back him and to have faith in him. And that's the complete opposite to what he's getting from Italy fans. So it's completely self-destructive, this nationwide witch hunt and scapegoating of Ciro, because they have this sensational striker right there. But if they're going to spend the whole time hammering him, they're not going to see him. As simple as that for me, really.
Let's mention another player. And I thought yesterday we tweeted pretty much the same thing, right? Renew the contract of Strakosha. I was hoping that Tare didn't leave Genoa before doing that because, again, another very important save yesterday in the first minute of the match where Genoa was attacking and, sliding doors. We mentioned it already. Going down immediately, it would have been a completely different match. So Strakosha is, I think, in the last couple of matches have stepped up massively. And it's a shame that he still didn't renew the contract with us. Now, there have been rumors last week that things could have changed, that maybe he is willing to sign a new contract. We will find out maybe in the coming weeks. But again, how important it is to have Strakosha starting for us.
Yeah, you're right. We did talk about it already after the Sassuolo game because it goes to show the importance of having a guy in goal who's capable of producing those moments. Like you say, I think either of these games could have gone very differently if it wasn't for key saves at key moments. And for all Jose Mourinho wants to say Lazio won these games because of refereeing decisions, I think Strakosha is largely to thank for them because yes, they both were fairly comfortable in the end. Sassuolo 2-0 up and they only scored in stoppage time. And then yesterday was a huge marginal victory. But he kind of gives Lazio the platform to produce those performances at the other end of the pitch by keeping them in the game. I just find it crazy that this guy is about to walk out. And like I said on Twitter yesterday, the main reason for that is just simply how much we already have to do this summer. The rebuilding of the entire defense, finding a replacement for Lucas Leiva, finding the Vice Immobile finally. If the rumors about wanting to sell either Alberto or Milinkovic-Savic are true, they're going to need replaced at very high quality. So when you've already got all that to do in a shoestring budget, the idea of bringing in 2 new keepers because Rain is going to go as well is just insane. Just give him the contract, and he's never really let us down, and he's been dealt with pretty harshly, first by Inzaghi and then by Sarri in terms of being dropped for Reina with no particular obvious reasons. So, yeah, I don't think he's a world-class goalkeeper, but I think he's good enough to be the Lazio goalkeeper. And my point is more that with everything else that needs to be done to build a strong team, he's strong enough to be your number one while you build the rest of that team. We can come back to upgrading later on.
I don't think so. I mean, as a shop stopper, I think he's one of the best of Serie A, to be honest with you, and proved it yesterday. I mean, yesterday he made two very good saves. We can talk about his feet, his ball control, but I mean, first thing a goalkeeper has to do is saving shots, and I think he's top of the table in Serie A there. I mean, look what Patricio have been doing in the last week or so. So, and he's been praised like a great signing. So, I think Strakosha is still a very good goalkeeper. He's still very young. So, yeah, I think we have to blame Inzaghi for this, and let's hope that Iglitare, that is not very good in personal relationship, is able to fix the situation, because I think at the end it's all down to that. If he hadn't signed to another team at the moment, I think it's because he hadn't received that many calls, probably from other teams. So, I mean, it would be good to sign him as soon as possible, even because on the other side, Alistair, and we didn't talk that much about transfer market, but Sarri would love to have Kepa, but I think it's out of reach for us. It's pretty much impossible. Even the youngster Carnesecchi has a high fee, and I'm not sure he's ready for that type of level, right? Lazio is not a team fighting for relegation. You need a goalkeeper that is ready. So it's not that you're sending away Strakosha and you have the replacement there.
Yeah, but in my mind, Kaneseki would be an ideal one to come in and compete with Strakosha.
Yeah.
To have the guy who's pretty much regarded as like the best up and coming young Italian goalkeeper at this point, even though he's obviously only been playing in Serie B and for the under 21s. But I've seen him play a few times. He does look good. He's obviously got a big future ahead of him. But if you've got someone like that who can push Strakosha, that's more of a battle that we can get on board with, rather than Reina versus Strakosha, where you've got a guy in his 40s he's obviously not the future by any means. So this is a thing. We're going to need a new goalkeeper one way or another. Whether we keep Strakosha or not, we're going to need another keeper. Kepa to me is absurd because the wages he's on. And this is a guy, let's not forget, whose most famous moment playing with Sarri was refusing to be substituted during the League Cup final. I don't think, given the budget and the salary that we've got, I don't think spending that much on Kepa makes much sense to me. The other one I've seen a lot of talk about is Sergio Rico, who's I think he's playing with Murici, isn't he, at Mallorca this season?
Yeah. He's not playing that bad, honestly. I saw him a couple of times. He looks interesting. But again,
I don't know much about him, but PSG must have seen something in him to sign him.
Well, if I'm not wrong, I think PSG has 11 goalkeepers. So, they thought they could play all with goalkeepers and then find out that couldn't work. So they're trying to send them away. I mean, already Donnarumma and Navas together is too much. So
we know where Pepe Reina's going next then.
You think so? Well, he could be a solution. He could play outside, right?
Yeah, why not? I mean, that team needs a bit of backbone. So get Pepe Reina in there, centre mid.
Alistair, I want to touch with you something different, because yesterday Patrick started, and we know that Luis Felipe came back from the injury. He didn't train all week, but he trained the last couple of days. Similar thing to Luis Alberto. He didn't train all week and then did it on Friday and started on Sunday, while Luis Felipe did pretty much the same and was on the bench on Sunday. Do you think this is related to the transfer market rumors that he's going to sign to Betis? And do you agree with that solution? I mean, if he decided not to renew with Lazio, he should be on the bench, as we have Patrick. That is a valid option.
No, I think it's probably a combination of factors. Obviously, he's not played for a while, so throw kind of match sharpness on top of a bit of off-field unsettledness around the transfer stuff, on top of the fact that Patrick's been playing pretty well recently, on top of the fact that we're playing Genoa, whose attack is about as threatening as a kitten. So I think that what I've said all along is Patrick is a reliable defender in these kind of games. Against lower mid-table Serie A sides, Patrick is going to be fine. I don't think we want him playing in much higher profile games than that, but I think he deserves to be picked. You could make a very strong argument that Patrick's been our best centre back this season. So, which says a lot about how our defence has been this season. But he does deserve to be selected, I think. But I don't know, it comes back to the same question, doesn't it, Vitor, is the contract. Another guy with his contract up. Although this week we have seen some reports that Lazio are looking into an extension. Do you think that could and should happen?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, as you were mentioning at the beginning when we were talking about Strakosha, Lazio need to sign something like 6-8 players this summer, which never happened, right? Stare sport director. So, if you can confirm some of your players like Patrick and Strakosha, this means that instead of 8, you have to sign 6, which is 2 less. So, it's something that Tare can make it. So that's one of the reasons. Plus, Patrick knows the system. Patrick is, as you were mentioning, a reliable defender. Has improved a lot under Sarri. We are not saying that he's Paolo Maldini, and not even close. But, he can be a reliable sub. Without forgetting that Stefan Rado, that was picked often in the past, just had come back from an injury and was out for a couple of weeks. So, you don't have that many options there. So keeping Patrick would mean that, okay, we have to sign 2 central defenders instead of 4, maybe. So that's an advantage I see for us, definitely.
Yeah, well, this is the crazy thing about the summer is not just the fact that we're going to lose players in key positions, but we're going to lose their deputies as well. So I mean, through the team. So we're having to not just build a team as a strong starting 11 in the transfer market, but like build our squad depth all over again as well. Because it's not just Strakosha, but it's Reina. It's not just Felipe, but it's Patrick. It's not just Lucas, but it's Cataldi. We're currently losing 3 key positions in this team, where we're losing the first choice starter and their backup, which is crazy, really. And then, as we know, there's many other parts of this team that we would like to see improvements in as well. But that's already 6 players that you have to replace if they go.
If I'm not wrong, Cataldi is not his contract is not expiring this summer, but we found out that Maruzic has just renewed, so he's one off the table. But we have plenty of other players, right, that could be leaving this summer, which is concerning. And we didn't mention Acerbi. I mean, I think he's leaving, not because his contract is expiring, but because all the problem he had with the fans. So there are a lot of players, Alistair, and we know how much Iglitare takes time to sign a new player. So we need like 8 months, not 2, to sign all those players. And this is the most concerning part, right?
Yeah, exactly. There was a bit of transfer news this week, though, wasn't there, with Andre Anderson? Remember him?
Yeah, I was surprised because, well, the rumors, I don't know if you read it, he's in Brazil. He's going to sign for a Brazilian football club on loan for 1 year. And he's pretty much disappeared from the from the training, and no one, as usual, mentioned it. So we just found out, what was it, Friday, that he was signing with a Brazilian team, and that that was another typical Lazio style information. They didn't mention nothing, and just I think Lazio Siamo mentioned it well. Andre Anderson is in Brazil. He's gonna sign. I don't remember the team he's gonna sign for,
Sao
but
Paulo, I think.
yeah, São Paulo, the former Hernanes team. So yeah, uh, we talked about Andre Anderson a lot of time because we said the player has quality, but he hardly play. So probably Sari didn't like him.
Yeah, and a lot of competition for places, I guess. I think his time was really, that post-COVID period where we had all those games and Inzaghi gave him a couple of opportunities around then. I thought if this is gonna, I think but there's some issue with Alberto around then as well, as far as I recall, and there was a bit of hope that he might be able to come in and make an impact, but he never quite did. I mean, he always looked like a player who's got, undoubted technical ability, but doesn't really know how to impose himself on matches at this level, perhaps. So, but yeah, I mean, it's something, it's having all these players who are just not getting any games, not involved in the squad is just one of the most frustrating things. So yeah, that's one thing. How about our fullbacks yesterday, Lazzari and Maricic? I mean, maybe starting with Maricic, it was some goal, but do you not think you've said quite a few times actually? You've said you think he's too shy, like he doesn't kind of trust himself to pull things like this off. But he can do this. He just needs to go for it more often.
Isn't the second goal he scored in Genoa? I think he did it last year, right?
Yeah.
And another very nice goal. I mean, he doesn't score very often, but when he does, oh my God. I think, if I'm not wrong, this is the first goal of the season for Marusic, which is unacceptable. We are nearly half April, and this is the first goal he scored. And we're talking about a player that, yes, has been on the bench, but had played a lot of matches so far. He has everything, Alistair. He's tough. He has a nice foot, because I remember the goal he scored against Olympique Marseille. I mean, that was unbelievable. So he can do pretty much everything. I don't know. I don't know if he's shy or what does he think. But yeah, it was a great goal and very important because Genoa was attacking in the first 10, 15 minutes of the match. I mean, he should take a little bit. He should see what Lazzari does and try to imitate him. Because, I mean, with two players like that, Lazio can be so much dangerous, so much more dangerous than has been in the past.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there is kind of a question perhaps about his self belief.
Yeah.
At least that's how it seems to come across from his body language or whatever. But also, I think there's been a lot of focus this season on Lazzari and under Sarri and his struggles to adapt to back four, and there's been a lot of the spotlight focused on that. But actually, I think you could make an argument Maricic has struggled just as much, because perhaps he's been more consistent and defensively reliable, but you do want more than that from your fullbacks in a 4-3-3. And from an attacking standpoint, we've seen relatively little from him. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now for assists or anything, but I can't imagine it's very high. And if you think back to, I think it was the first game of last season, that Cagliari match, when he was absolutely on fire and set up both goals in that game. And he does have it in him, these matches, to have these kind of barnstorming attacking performances. Yes, look, we're not naive. We don't want him to just spend the entire game attacking, and it is important for him to stand up defensively as well, which I thought he did yesterday. But yeah, I think given we know what he's capable of, that just want to coax a bit more of it out of him.
Definitely. That was the first goal of the season, and he has no assists. I mean, Lazzari in the last two matches has 1 goal and 1 assist. So, I mean, that's not enough. And to be honest with you, Alistair, I thought that yesterday he didn't play that well. He scored, but wasn't probably the best performance from Adam Marusic. He made a couple of bad mistakes in defense. But yeah, we have to try something more. I mean, especially from other defenders. In the first half, Patrick a couple of times was close to Ciro Immobile, and I think that was too much. But Marusic and Lazzari should be pushing more. Lazzari does it, and I think he's a threat. On the other side, Marusic is too defensive minded, I think. But yeah, that's really bizarre. That's really strange.
I again like the way that the right wing linked up yesterday. That's
Yeah,
looking really promising. Lazzari, Anderson, and Milinkovic is it's a nice little triangle going on there.
yeah, very dangerous. And again, I don't think Felipe Anderson played particularly well. He had a couple of chances to put, I think it was Ciro in front of the goal at least a couple of times and missed the pass. But what I like about the Brazilian is how much he improved defensively. He's always in the right position. He track backs all the time, which wingers are not used to do. So that's really important. And for a team that in the first half conceded so many goals, I think Felipe Anderson is very important even when defending, especially with Lazzari there. So I thought that was very, very promising and encouraging sign for the future. Alistair, again, 4-1 on top, no Kamenovic. Will he ever play? I mean,
No.
okay.
Next question.
Then why didn't bring him on Luca Romero or Raul Moro up 4-1 with a couple of minutes to go?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe Sarri's just not one of these coaches who sees the value as much in giving game time to players for the sake of it, which is kind of what those situations are. Maybe he sees more value in getting 90 minutes out of a player or giving an older player like Pedro time to get minutes in his legs than doing that. I'm not sure. Would like to see more of them, but yeah, clearly it's not his style.
Well, again, Pedro came in and was important. I mean, the third goal is of Ciro is all thanks to Pedro. I don't know if they give him the assist, but it was a nice effort, and that's really encouraging to see a player like that. Talking about the table, Alistair, with Fiorentina surprisingly beating Napoli, do you think the race for the fifth position now includes even Fiorentina? And do you think Atalanta is out now? Or it's going to be Roma, Lazio, Atalanta, and Fiorentina all fighting for a position?
Yeah, definitely. Fiorentina, they're really impressive. I think that Vincenzo Italiano, he won't get it, but he probably should be given Coach of the Year, considering what he started with and where they are now. They're the most improved team in the leagues from last season. I think they've got 23 points or something more than they did at this stage last year. And they lost Vlahovic in January, and they're still going. Massive scalp for them yesterday, taking down Napoli. And yeah, they're right there. I mean, they're 2 points behind us with a game in hand. So of course they're part of the race. So yeah, it's really interesting. I think that Atalanta are obviously the team in the downward slide at the moment, but you can never rule them out. I don't think that I would ever say that they're not part of that race anymore. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting end to the season. Like I've already said, it's not exactly the most thrilling end of season narrative, the battle for fifth. But Juve sadly don't seem to be kind of choking in the way we need them to open up the fourth spot.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some big games ahead. Not least, to be honest, this Lazio Torino on Saturday, because Torino again showed last night what a tricky team they can be, holding Milan, a Milan team needing a win for their title hopes. And yeah, they've got a load of good players, not least Bremer. My God, that guy is a hell of a defender. He's so impressive, and that's going to be a real battle for Ciro. Ciro against Bremer, probably the best striker versus the best centre back in Serie A this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting without forgetting that every time Torino comes to Rome, something bizarre happens and Lazio is not able to win that match. We definitely need to win because Roma is playing away against Napoli. Now, Napoli away at home is struggling massively this season. They lost a lot of points, obviously not against Lazio, but there's a chance that, after the terrible defeat against Fiorentina, they cannot allow to lose any points if they want to keep the title race open. Fiorentina is playing against Venezia at home, so that should be an easy match for them. So Lazio definitely needs to win against Torino, and Juric won't be there, but still Torino is a very dangerous team, very difficult team to play against because they don't allow you to play great football. They're very good defended, and it's going to be interesting to see how Luis Alberto will play because against Genoa he wasn't 100% fit, but didn't play great, still find a way to make an assist to Ciro. But that probably is going to be the key of the match with the Ciro versus Bremen duel.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen, the last few days, Gazzetta have made quite a big deal of Bremer's record against the kind of big strikers in the league and or against the big teams in the league. And Giroud last night and Osimhen before, and I think he's got a really impressive record of man marking, where I don't know if he always is man marking, but at least coming up against the big strikers in the league. So, God, I'd love him to sign for Lazio. It's never going to happen, but that'd be very nice. One thing we should quickly mention, I was kind of in the height of my fever while this was going on, so I'll leave it to you to tell the listeners. But I imagine there's a lot to talk about the Lotito Sarri meeting this week. I imagine that there was huge, earth-shaking outcomes and club communications letting us all know. Am I right?
Yeah. I completely forgot because it was last week, and yeah. Well, it looked like it was just a brief meeting talking about the future, or at least trying to program the future of this club. What can I say? Well, nothing came out big about that. Sarri wants to be a little bit more involved in the transfer market. He doesn't want to do the transfer market, but would love not to have surprises like Cabral of Kamenovic coming out the transfer market. So he would be a little bit more involved in that. And maybe, if he asks a goalkeeper, don't get a left back. If he asks a striker, don't get a central midfielder. So that's the kind of discussion they had. Lotito promised that he will try to do the best. Sarri also open to the possibility of selling one of Milinkovic Savic or Luis Alberto, not both, one of them, to improve the roster, to improve the team. But this is a discussion that's going to be made in a couple of weeks. Sarri said he's focused on the club, on the league. They didn't talk about the renewal of contract of Sarri. That should have been, made in January, but not a big surprise. It didn't happen. And Sarri made a couple of names, and Sarri and Lotito and Tare said, well, we will look what we will be able to do. It looks like Romagnoli is very close, so that could be the first signing. But apart from that, Sarri asked about keeping Patrick, signing Casale. So we're going to see what happened. But yeah, communication wasn't huge. Lazio didn't say nothing about it. So we'll see what's going to happen.
Imagine if we started next season with Acerbi, Casale, and Romagnoli, and Radu, 4 left-footed centre-backs. I can't... when was the last time a team had all their centre backs were left footed?
I don't think Acerbi will stay, honestly, with you.
Well, yeah,
I think he wants to leave, and the club is interested in selling him. And maybe Inzaghi will do us another favor, asking for him. So,
it's a shame that well, it's a shame that I guess there's no major news from a meeting like this, but at the same time, I think it is encouraging to know Sarri is, first of all, he's making those demands, because I think we want the same thing as what Sarri wants here. Like, enough's enough. I cannot leave you guys in charge of this, because January proved that. And also, it's good that we've got a coach with a big enough reputation and good enough track record that the club are willing to, they seemingly respect that enough that they're going to listen to him. And it might actually put them in a position where they have to, that, I guess, that compared to, say, if we'd appointed I don't know, a De Zerbi or an Italiano or someone a bit less experienced, they wouldn't have quite as much of solid ground to kind of make those demands from. So yeah, we'll see. We gotta start optimistic and see what happens.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're still alive, so my plan didn't work out. But I mean, I have other things to do. I cannot wait to see you dying on the show. So again, thanks everybody for listening. Remember, you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts: iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon, wherever you do. We are on Twitch and YouTube, so subscribe to our channel there. And if you want to support us, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge, especially seeing how Alistair is, I think he needs your support. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back. Well, not Monday because it's holiday in Italy and I'm away, but probably Tuesday, Wednesday, if Alistair is still alive.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't want to disappoint you by keeping going that long.
Bye, everybody.